We have been lied to. Society tells us a simple equation: hard work equals money. If you want to be a doctor, you study for 10 years. If you want to be an athlete, you train 6 hours a day. So, naturally, we think investing works the same way. We believe that to get rich in the stock market, we need to be smart. We need to watch the news, analyze charts every single day. But here is the ugly truth that Wall Street doesn't want you to know: in the stock market, effort does not equal reward. In fact, the harder you try to beat the market, the more money you are likely to lose. And the person who literally does nothing? He usually ends up winning everything. Today, I am going to teach you the art of lazy investing. I will show you how to beat the smartest hedge fund managers in New York without reading a single financial report. I am Alex, welcome to Alex Invests. You don't believe me? Let me tell you a story about a bet. In 2007, Warren Buffett, the greatest investor of all time, walked into a room full of arrogant hedge fund managers. These guys managed billions of dollars. They used supercomputers, complex algorithms, and had teams of PhD researchers. Buffett challenged them. He said, "I bet $1 million that a simple, boring S&P 500 index fund will beat all your fancy strategies over the next 10 years. The experts laughed. They thought, how can a dumb index fund beat us? We are geniuses. So, they took the bet. For 10 years, the experts bought and sold like crazy. They charged high fees. They worked 100 hours a week. And Buffett? He did nothing. He just bought the S&P 500 and went to sleep. Fast forward to 2017. The results were shocking. The hedge funds returned about 36%. Buffett's lazy fund? It returned 126%. The lazy way didn't just win, it destroyed the experts. But wait, it gets even funnier. In 1973, an economist named Burton Malkiel made a crazy claim. He said, a blindfolded monkey throwing darts at a newspaper's financial pages could select a portfolio that would do just as well as one carefully selected by experts. People thought he was joking. So, years later, research affiliates actually tested this. They simulated 100 monkeys throwing darts at stock pages. Guess what happened? On average, the monkeys beat the market. In fact, 96 out of 100 monkeys performed better than the professional investors. Why? Because the monkeys didn't panic. They didn't sell when the news was bad. They just picked and held. The lesson is simple: you don't need to be a genius. You just need to stop trying to be smarter than the market. Now, before I tell you where to invest, I need to warn you about the silent killer that is destroying your wealth right now. It is called expense ratios, or fees. When you go to a bank and buy a mutual fund, the manager smiles and says, "Sir, our fee is very low, just 1% per year." You think, 1%? That's nothing. You are wrong. That 1% is a robbery. Let me explain the math. If the market grows 8% a year, and the bank takes 1%, they aren't taking 1% of your profit. They are taking 1% of your entire money. Over 30 or 40 years, that tiny 1% fee will eat up 30% to 40% of your total future wealth. If you retire with $1 million, the bank will keep $300,000 of it. Just for managing your money? No thanks. The lazy strategy I am showing you today has fees as low as 0.03%. It is almost free. We keep the profits, not the bank. So, how do we invest like Warren Buffett and avoid these fees? We use a tool called an index fund, specifically the S&P 500. Imagine you want to bet on the American economy. You could try to pick one company, like Company X. But what if Company X goes bankrupt? You lose everything. That's risky. The S&P 500 is not a company. It is a bucket. Inside this bucket are the 500 largest, most profitable companies in the United States. Apple, Microsoft, Amazon, Google, Tesla, they are all in there. When you buy one share of an S&P 500 fund, you own a tiny piece of all of them. But here is the best part, this bucket is self-cleaning. If a company inside the bucket starts losing money and becomes small, like Kodak or Nokia, it gets kicked out of the bucket. And it gets replaced by a new, growing company like Tesla or Nvidia. This happens automatically. You don't have to do anything. Your portfolio naturally evolves with the economy. It is the ultimate lazy machine. Now, let's talk about money. Real money. How much do you actually need to become a millionaire using this strategy? Let's say you are 25 years old. You have a normal job. You decide to invest just $500 a month into the S&P 500. And you never increase that amount. Historically, the market gives a 10% average return. In the first year, you have $6,000. Boring. In 10 years, you have $100,000. Still not rich. This is where most people quit. They say, this is too slow, and they go buy crypto or lottery tickets. But you? You stay lazy. By year 30, that money turns into $1 million. By year 40, it becomes $3 million. You invested only $240,000 of your own money over your life. The rest, the other $2.7 million, is free money generated by compound interest. Einstein called this the eighth wonder of the world for a reason. Now, I know what you are thinking. Alex, this sounds great, but what if the market crashes? What if I invest at the wrong time? Let me introduce you to Bob. Bob is the world's worst market timer. Bob is unlucky. Bob started investing in 1972. He saved up money and put it all into the S&P 500 right before the market crashed by 50%. Bob didn't sell. He waited. He saved more money and invested again in 1999, right at the peak of the dot-com bubble. The market crashed again. Bob still didn't sell. He invested one last time in 2007, right before the great financial crisis. The market collapsed again. Bob only invested at the absolute worst possible times in history. He must be broke, right? Wrong. Because Bob never sold, and he never stopped investing, today Bob is a millionaire. Why? Because time in the market beats timing the market. Even if you are the unluckiest person on earth, if you hold long enough, you win. However, there is one thing that can make you lose. And that is waiting. Some of you are thinking, okay Alex, I will start next year. This is a catastrophic mistake. Let me show you the cost of waiting. If you start investing $500 a month at age 25, you retire with $3 million. But if you wait just 10 years and start at age 35, do you know how much you will have? You won't have $2.5 million. You won't even have $2 million. You will retire with just $1 million. Waiting 10 years didn't cost you a few $1,000s. It cost you $2 million. Every day you wait, your future freedom is burning away. Time is your biggest asset, not money. So, stop trying to find the needle in the haystack. Buy the haystack. Stop paying 1% fees to bankers who underperform a monkey. And stop waiting for the perfect time. Here is your clear action plan. Number 1, open a brokerage account. Number 2, search for an S&P 500 ETF, like VOO or SPY. Number 3, set up an automatic transfer every month. And number 4, the most important step, go back to sleep. If you want to know the difference between good debt and bad debt so you can have more money to invest, click on this video right here. Before you click, tell me in the comments, what is your biggest goal for this year? A new car or financial freedom? Don't forget to like and subscribe to become a lazy millionaire. I'm Alex, see you next week.